All right, man, I'm here in the squat rack. I just finished a bunch of squats today for me beginning my training session. I did 3 different variations of front squats with the Buffalo bar. So I've got the Buffalo bar in the rack, and I'm switching out to the SS yoke bar now. Actually, first of all, man, I'm really appreciate you replying to me on Twitter. I really hesitated to say anything about your squat because I didn't want it to come across as me being one of those internet critic buttholes. But I follow you a lot on Twitter. I read a lot of the stuff that you post. I really enjoy the stuff that you post, and I like watching you train. And I'm really glad that you took what I was trying to say in a positive light. And as from a coach's perspective, for you to have answers for everything that I said was absolutely huge. Man, I'm cramping. My fingers are cramping. They're completely locked up. It's been one of those days, man. So I don't show the real me in the gym most of the times. But I've got the Buffalo bar here set up. I know that you're squatting with a regular bar, but I will try to give you the rough general ideas to kind of a couple of things you can try that might help you out on your squat. And I know that being a vintage lifter, there are certain things that just aren't going to work. We can take all the 18 to 25 year olds all day and show the perfect squat, and this is how it's supposed to go, and they can demonstrate and blah blah blah. Gripping so close, their fingers are touching their shoulders and whatnot. But that's not us. Stuff has happened in life along the way. Stuff has happened today that prevents us from being able to do that. I slept funny and sneezed strange when I woke up today, and my shoulders hurt. That's a real example from today. I know that you know what I mean. So, a couple of things that I'm seeing. Let's see. Right off the bat, you seem to have a pretty decent grip on the bar. I don't really know where you're gripping because I'm looking at it from the side. But when you stand up with it, when you stand up with it, what I notice, you're looking down as you're walking back. You don't have to look down when you walk back. You know where the floor is. The only thing you need to worry about when you squat is that you're back far enough so that when you come up, you don't hit the pins on the way up. So, all you have to do is stand up, 1, 2, and if you really feel like you're wild off, you've got a third that you can step. But there's no reason to have to look down because you began walking back like this with your head over your toes. So you've got head over your toes, your butt back, and look at my elbows. And I've got really bad shoulder, wrist, all kinds of flexibility in there. So, but you're over like this, which means you're going to squat like this. So you don't have to be hips all the way through, because I'm guessing if your hips all the way through and your head's still forward, that's going to put a lot of pressure on your hips and spine too. But the way that you unrack it, when you stand up, get locked in right there. That's your locked in position. 1, 2, and if you got to go back one more, set that foot where you need it. When you're an older lifter, you don't need to look down and say, and measure with your eyes to see where you're at. You should be able to feel, am I locked in? Can I feel the weight on my hips and not my back? Are my lats tight? If you can feel all of that, you're in a good position. Because what I see from here is you're going down and your head is way far forward. And then on the way up, you're going here. First thing's moving is your hips, like this, to finish the lift. And that's not what you want to do. Oh, I'm dead. My legs are jello. This is a big reason why I box squat, and I work with a lot of clients on the box squat. And when someone comes here to train and they're having squat issues, I put them on the box. And I make them stop on the box. And I tell clients, if we're working on your squat, we're not just going to box squat like you can see in a video. I want you to get down to the box. I want you to stop and hold it. And when you're there, use that time to say, okay, are my shins vertical? Are my knees out? Is my chest up? Are my elbows down? Am I displaying the Superman emblem on my chest, or am I rounded over? And then when you come off the box, when you come up off the box, the hips can't rise first. The hips have to rise at the same rate as the barbell. So if the head's tilted forward, there's no way you can have an arch in your back, and your hips are going to rise first, putting an insane amount of stress on your low back and making it to where you cannot lift as much weight. You might get that rep today, but you're putting yourself farther and farther away from your ultimate 1 rep max. I hope that makes sense. Because if you're ever going to squat your absolute true potential, your technique has to be perfect. And the shoulders have to rise at the same rate as the hips. And in order for that to happen, the head cannot be forward, absolutely cannot be down. I do think that it's important to note that seeing these things are very common with someone who most often squats with the SS yoke bar. And that is because most people who squat with the SS yoke bar will squat with it incorrectly. We see a lot of strongman athletes use the SS yoke bar because you don't have to get under the bar, you don't have the stress on the elbows, the biceps, the shoulders, and they will say, hey, it brings up my deadlift. And for a lot of strongmen, it absolutely does all of that, primarily because they're doing it not powerlifting correctly. What we will see is when they get set up with the bar, rounding forward like an upper back lat spread, grabbing the handles and rounding forward and just getting the upper back tight like that. When you squat with the SS yoke bar, it should be just like a regular bar. Head up, traps back, everything contracted. You don't have to grab the handles. You probably even shouldn't grab the handles. But your head should be back. Your mid and upper back should be completely locked in. If you had 1,000 pounds on any one of your bars and you unracked it and you did it the way you're doing it right now, what would happen to you? You would absolutely eat the ground. So if you've ever seen someone unrack 1,000 pounds, what's the look on their face? Absolute, utter insanity. I've unracked 1,000. I've unracked, 1085, maybe 1135. And if you don't have everything tight and perfect, you're going to crumble. Because then your hips have to move. And then your knees have to hinge. And the more things that start moving and hinging, the looser it gets and the more likely you are to absolutely crash. So when you're training with the SS yoke bar from now on, when you get under it, get that head back, the traps locked back, and the lats locked back, just like this. Present that Superman emblem on your chest when you do it. You're also going to find that when you do that, your squats are going to be easier with that SS yoke bar. Another thing when you're using the regular bar, I do think that a couple of cues. I think that when you're coming out of the hole, I think you could cue yourself the same way that I do box squatting off a box. When you come off the box, a lot of that movement is from the abs right here. So when I'm down on that box and I come up, it's this area, the abs and the hip flexors, boom, pushing forward. And as that boom pushes forward, that helps keep the knees out, the abs super tight, the back upright, and the shoulders rising at the same rate as the hips. If anywhere in here starts to collapse at all, there go the hips. That's a verbal cue and a slight muscular cue as well. I also think you could widen your stance out just a hair. I'm betting that you are walking to the bar and saying, okay, I squat with a shoulder width stance. This is my stance. And this may actually be your power stance just standing. But it may not be your power stance once you get the bar on your back. And that may not be your power stance. The most important power stance that you can have is from the bottom position. So you need to be able to get down to the bottom and find your strongest position. My legs are all messed up. My right foot doesn't work. I'm trying to stay out of a wheelchair. I can't move it from the knee down, my right leg. So I can't feel it on the ground, and it just kind of wobbles. So I know my stance is a little bit messed up. But I need to find my power stance in the bottom. There's my hips right there. Wait. There's my hips. So that's where I am. If I just walked up to the bar and found my normal standing power stance, it's right about here. And that, when I get to the bottom, is going to cause me to lean forward and my hips to rise. So I need to find my strongest position from the bottom first, right off the bat. And again, being a vintage lifter, lucky for us, being old folks, that's probably going to be a slightly different stance every single time that we squat. So that just becomes part of your warm-up. Don't be afraid to take the empty bar for 5, 7 sets of 1. That's it. Don't burn yourself out doing 10 reps with a bar or 10 reps with a plate. Do singles. Slow singles. Stop at the bottom. Spend some time there and say, wait, let me move my foot here. Wait. I'm stronger in this position. I can feel myself driving off my heels, driving off my hips. I can feel my abs from this foot position where you couldn't before. Find that different position every day right off the beginning. Get a general idea of where that is. And of course, I've already told you don't look down at the ground. But as old and as wise as we are, we probably should have a general idea where our feet need to go, right? But look, I understand that most of this is almost impossible. I coach people for a living, so I understand that we're not going to fix things. It's never going to be perfect, and especially with the vintage lifter, nothing's ever going to be perfect. So we don't have to have perfection. We just need a little bit of progress. And, that's one reason why people like you and I are still in places like this, training the way that we do. Because we just want that little bit of progress. And I really think you got a lot of talent to be a great squatter one day. I don't think you're anywhere near your potential when it comes to your squat. So anyway, I hope this helps in some way, shape, form, or fashion. If it doesn't, I'll be back at the gym squatting on next Wednesday. I'll make a video every single week, man. Whatever it takes to help you out and get you a little bit closer to where you need to be. So let me upload this and send it to you. Can't wait to see you back on the Twitters.